Hi, hello, and welcome to the world's most depressingly underutilized balcony. Okay, here's the deal. This is not my balcony. As many of you know, I am currently traveling full-time after having my life completely uprooted by the Los Angeles wildfires. Today we are in sunny Vancouver. Downtown Vancouver, to be specific, and this is a very gray city. And the view from this balcony definitely reflects that. We are just surrounded by concrete and glass and never-ending gray skies. And I personally was really excited that our Airbnb had a balcony. Like, how amazing to have our own little private oasis, right? And I imagine sitting out here every morning, bundled up in my little pajamas, drinking my coffee, contemplating the cosmos, listening to a podcast. But no, I was robbed of that opportunity because let me tell you, this thing is an absolute disaster. Let's discuss. Okay, so here we are on the balcony, and I would say that this layout is not functional at best. Here you can see the only usable space of this balcony is this small table and two chairs and fake succulent, and it is located right in front of the door, like literally blocking any access you would want. So you have to physically like climb over the chairs if you want to get in. Like this comes out a little bit, but not much. This one doesn't come out at all. So you got to like wiggle in. It's not a good look. So that is top priority to get fixed because if it's not usable, it doesn't matter how cute it is. So we're going to get rid of that. And then over on this side of the balcony is just, I don't know, storage, I guess. This is a grill. It is the largest grill I have ever seen in my life. And the way that it is situated, wedged in between this AC unit and that extra propane tank, mean that you would literally have to use it. You would have to take the table and chairs, move them into the apartment, because where else are you going to put them? Like, I guess you could try and stack them in that corner, but that's not going to work. You got to get them out so that you can then pull this out from behind the AC unit, use it, grill your little grill, and then go eat somewhere. You can't eat here because the grill's here now. So you take your things inside, eat your whatever you grilled, and then come back out, put it all away, tuck it in, bring the chairs and table back out onto the balcony so you can use your apartment. It's not what I would call like the ideal easy breezy, beautiful balcony situation. So we're going to fix it. And step one to that is clearing it out. Did it work? Am I a YouTuber now? I learned that on TikTok. Okay, look, here's the truth. We can't actually fix it on account of this is an Airbnb and they don't like when you come in and just start throwing away all their stuff and putting down rugs, as frankly therapeutic as that would be for me right now. So today we are turning this busted balcony into the little downtown oasis of my dreams virtually. Okay, we had to move inside because, surprise, it started raining outside. So anyway, I have 3 goals for this balcony. Number 1, I want this balcony to feel like a hug. Okay, I crave to be enveloped by this balcony. I want it to feel like my absolute favorite place in the world because truly I would live out there. Like I would spend 100% of my time there if I could. If it were set up correctly, I would never leave. So that means that we need really comfy seating. We need some sheltering from the elements. And we really need to find ways to increase the privacy without completely blocking the view. I also really would love to find a way to have it be okay for me to just leave the door open all the time because that slider not only is heavy and awkward, and I've already really smashed my hand in it. It was so painful. I literally thought I broke a knuckle. But I also really just want the ease of being able to flow in and out. I just want it to feel like it's part of our living space. I think rich people call this indoor-outdoor living. I really just want the ease of being able to open it first thing in the morning and not have to worry about closing it until I'm ready to go to bed at night. Nothing comes in, no bugs, no burglars, no ghosts, whatever. Okay, and then number 2, I want lots of plants and lots of color because in a place that is this gloomy and depressing, no offense, we need to bring in some cheer, okay? And I want to do it in a way that feels like it's working with the city instead of against it. Like I don't necessarily aim for this balcony to feel like an escape from the city as much as an oasis inside the city, if that makes sense. So we are going to fill it with plants. And then we're going to bring in splashes of color that are going to play against the gray skies to kind of brighten it up a bit. I also really want to make sure that we have some outdoor space to be able to take care of our plants. So I'm dreaming of a kind of like DIY potting bench situation. Could be cute. I don't know. And my final and maybe most important goal is that this balcony is 100% cat friendly. And I will not apologize. Okay, listen. In my dream life, I have a cat. Probably this cat, or this cat, or this cat. And if I'm gonna have a cat, you better believe this balcony is just as much hers as it is mine. And to be clear, I do not mean that this is a catio. A catio is different. A catio, for the uninformed, is an outdoor space specifically designed for your cat and only your cat. And they are, in my opinion, a little unhinged. So this is not that. This is a human place, a people place, a place for people where the cat is also welcome to hang out because he's the best. Okay, let's get into some of the inspiration images I pulled for this. First up, bam. This balcony, it's not a balcony. This is a patio. This is a patio of someone who is wealthier than I will ever be. Let me not put that into the universe. Let me manifest something different. Anyway, what I love about it is its simplicity. I think that it's so pretty. The star of this patio is obviously the brick floor and the kind of color and texture that that's bringing. And then it's just highlighted by all of the plants they've brought in. We obviously are not redoing the floors of this balcony, but the brick, if I were in the market to try and redo the floor, I might investigate if there was some way to do a brick floor because I think the warmth that it would bring is so pretty. I honestly don't think it's realistic, especially for this because, you know, redoing a floor, you're going to be adding some height. It's going to get weird with the walk-in. Like even if you're using thin brick or like a fake tile, I don't think that it's the route that I would go. So I'm going to have to find a different way to bring in this element. But what I really like about it, when you look out at the skyline in Vancouver, it's very gray and drab. And there are some buildings that are a warmer brick and it really makes the view so much prettier. So if I can find a way to bring that element into this space, that warmth, that's going to be a win for me. And then obviously here the plants are like singing. What a dream to be able to bring that in. And then I really like how simple they've kept the furniture. Like the furniture is not the focal point in this space. Next up, we have a really minimalist kind of classic bohemian monochromatic, no color, no joy, just lots of textures and macrame and wood carvings. And what I like about this is its simplicity, is its use of texture and the kind of warmth and the coziness. And what I really like here is the lighting, the way that they've brought in lighting to make the space feel a lot warmer and a lot more welcoming. And now for something completely different. This is so freaking cute. I love the way that the color in this image just fills me with joy. The thought of being out there, the way the sun is hitting through the leaves, the way it's dancing off of the pillows, the yellows, the reds, the way that the pillows are echoed in the plants, like all of this is my color inspo, not in palette necessarily, but just in feeling. I think that when you're pulling inspiration images for a project or for a room, you should pull images not just that have a look that you want, but really that capture a feeling that you're trying to capture. And so for me, that's what this is. The warmth and the joy that I get when I look at this photo is what I want to feel on our balcony. And I think that they've done a really good job of doing something that I was talking about, which is having the balcony feel like an oasis inside of this city. Everything on this balcony makes sense with the city skyline we're seeing behind it. And I think that's really well done. This is a trend that I am full force subscribing to. I think it is so pretty. I feel every once in a while there's a trend that comes through that I'm like, I hope this is timeless. I hope this is forever. Because this beigey taupe diagonal checkerboard, I think is so classically beautiful. I think standard checkerboard is beautiful, but I can't live with it for very long. It's too visually stimulating for me. And this is it just fills me with like a Like, it's such a delicious way to get that checkerboard in a way that feels so much calmer. And so I'm curious if I can find any way to bring that into this space. Also, another thing that I'm loving about this image is the concrete bench. A, I think the raw concrete is beautiful. And B, I think the shape, like the shape of the legs, the shape of the details is really pretty in its simplicity and its ornateness kind of at the same time. I have no idea how this inspiration is going to translate to my design yet, but I love it and it had to be here. Okay, this is our last image, and it's like a classic Tuscan balcony. And what I love about it is that terracotta coloring. Here we're seeing it everywhere, in the tile, in the cushions, in the paint, in the pots. It really plays off of the color of plants really well. It contrasts against the greens, but also I think it's gonna play against my specific skyline really well. I think it's gonna play against the gray. Also, it's gonna grab some of the warm tones out of the brick that I have surrounding and feel kind of all cohesive. I know that a lot of these images don't make sense together, right? They're completely different design styles. They're completely different vibes and feelings. But the key to finding inspiration images that are going to work for you is to not try and find images that you want to recreate. I'm not trying to make any of these balconies on my balcony. I'm just using these designs like a little buffet of ideas. I can just kind of pick and choose the things I want and make a little plate of buffet goodies that is completely unique and original to my own experience at that buffet. Does that make sense? If not, it will. Let's get to work. I want to start by drawing a quick floor plan of my balcony. Luckily, my balcony is a perfect rectangle, so that makes this part pretty easy. These two sides look out onto the city below, and this is where the sliding glass door is. Over here, against my neighbor's wall, we have the AC unit, which is going to be a design challenge. Since seating is my biggest priority, I'm going to start with a huge wall-to-wall sofa that's going to give me plenty of space to lounge, and a small round coffee table for easier traffic flow. This dead space behind the couch might seem like a total loss, but I'll make use of it by bringing in storage boxes that can double as extra seating for guests. In the far corner, I'll add a rain barrel to collect rainwater for our plants, and I'll use a folding table in front of the door so it can be tucked away when it's not in use. This is a ton of stuff on this tiny balcony, but you can see that all of our paths of travel are clear. And now to deal with the neighbors. We'll build a plant wall that will not only add beauty and sheltering from the elements, but also privacy. And just like that, we have a plan. Okay, let's see how the whole thing comes together. Obviously, we have to start with an empty balcony. We're starting with a totally blank slate. We have moved all of the furniture out of the balcony. The only thing, I couldn't get the AC unit to be in the photo and like still clear everything out. So just, you gotta pretend with me that it's still there. For all intents and purposes, we have a totally cleared out balcony blank slate. I am choosing to leave the AstroTurf, which I think is going to be a very controversial opinion. But honestly, like, I would never pick it. I would never choose it. But just being out there the past couple of weeks, I kind of like it. It is a really high quality AstroTurf. It's not the scratchy plastic carpet that we're used to. It really does feel a lot like grass, and it brings in a nice element of nature and also just a really nice foot feel. Foot feel? Sure. A really nice feel under the feet. So we're going to keep the AstroTurf. Once you have a completely empty space, it lets you focus on kind of creating the shell. And I think that clearing out a space is a really important first step because it also lets you see a completely blank slate. A lot of the ideas that I got for this balcony didn't come until it had been cleared out and I was just looking at kind of the bones. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add window screening along the bottom railing here. And I actually found this idea on Pinterest to just kind of weave it in between the railings to make it super renter friendly. I'll secure it at either side with zip ties and maybe at a couple points along the way too to keep it really sturdy. But I think that that's a great way to add security to the bottom. If this is going to be cat friendly, I don't want big open holes in the railing. And so I think that's a great way to secure it without losing any of the view. It's not obstructing anything. You could use like an opaque fabric. The video I saw used like a sunshade kind of fabric to give privacy, which is awesome. But I feel like the window screen is going to be enough here for us. Also, if it's a catio, then he wants to like sit there and look out at the world. Obviously, we can't obstruct his view. Anyway, so we're going to start by screening it off. So then if you remember this inspo image with the brick floor that I loved so much, I am going to bring in some faux brick or some thin brick, or honestly, even like a water resistant brick temporary wallpaper could work. But I'm going to do a faux brick treatment on the bottom cement foundation of the balcony just to give it a little bit of warmth and a little bit of charm and a little bit of history, just kind of shaping the shell to the aesthetic that we're going for. I think this is such a fun way to bring in that brick from the inspo image without having to redo the floor. Next, we're going to build our trellis. I'm going to build a trellis all the way from floor to ceiling on the side that shares a wall with our neighbor, because that's where we're going to get to build our vertical plant wall, hang a bunch of plants there, and it's really going to help with privacy. It's really going to help with the sun glare because we get a lot of like bounce of the sunrise off of that glass. It's just going to bring a lot of life to the space and make it feel more like that oasis that we're going for. And even in the sections that don't have plants, I think a wood lattice or a wood trellis is so much prettier overall to look at than this kind of industrial builder grade glass wall. Okay, and once our shell is kind of done, now we can start working on layering and the fun things. The first thing is that seating. You know, it's a big priority for me. So that is the thing I'm going to focus on first and build everything else around it. I'm going with a really neutral, light colored couch here, pulling from that inspiration image where everything was kind of monochromatic and boho. And for this, I pulled this one from, I think, Interior Define, but really I think there are so many beautiful budget-friendly couches. Honestly, the reason I picked this one is because I had the right angle of photo that I needed to be able to layer it into the design. But I will link a couple of options down below of couches that fit this brief at a much more affordable price point. Even IKEA has like great options here. I also picked one that doesn't have arms on both sides because I thought that it might help to kind of facilitate easy traffic flow in and out if it was just kind of open. I really just love the clean lines and the wood legs on this one. Like, I think that it brings the right amount of warmth and creates a neutral backdrop that we can add some color to. And then I really debated about if I wanted to bring in a rug or not, because I normally would if it were kind of like a wood floor, but this is AstroTurf, and part of what I like about it is how it feels under your feet. And so I actually finished the entire room and was very happy with it with no rug. And then I went back to my inspiration images and found that checkerboard one. And I just knew like the room would not feel complete without that element brought in somehow. So we're going to bring it in a rug, which I think is a really good idea. There are so many videos all over social media of people like completely redoing their floors or repainting their porches or making these kind of big permanent changes. You don't have to be able to do that financially or legally with your landlord. You don't have to be able to make those changes in order to be able to benefit from that trend. Like, bringing in a rug here is serving the same purpose. It's still bringing me that kind of beauty that I was craving, but in a much more affordable and much less permanent way. Next, we're going to install our folding balcony railing table. I picked this one from Etsy, but again, this is something where there are a ton of different options available based on your aesthetic, your size, and your needs. Your size, whatever, the size of table that you need to fit your space and what you want that table to do for you. There are ones with cup holders and LED lights built in. I picked this one because I liked the wood tone of it and I liked its simplicity. I also thought that the slats in the wood might be helpful if we're potting plants. We can put a soil catch like bin underneath and just kind of let soil fall through the slats into the bin. Then I'm going to add this coffee table that doubles as a cat bed. What I love about this is the wicker is a perfect outdoor material. It plays into kind of the vibe that we're going for in this oasis with the natural tones. The bedding inside goes with the bedding of the couch. It keeps it neutral, and the top is glass. There are a lot of ones that have a bed on the bottom and a bed on the top. That's not the vibe I'm going for. So the top being glass is easy to clean, easy to maintain, and serves as an actual table as opposed to just like a bunk bed for your cat. But I think this is actually a really smart use of the space. If you want your pet to have somewhere comfy to hide, it can be built into your furniture. It can be part of the room, part of the design. I also really love the shape of this, how it has this kind of delicate curve going on. It's neither completely straight nor completely rounded. It's got kind of like You know what I'm saying? There's nuance to the shape. We're bringing in a lot of straight lines because I'm playing with the straight lines of the city, but this more organic element is helping to soften them up. Otherwise, it would just feel too rigid. Speaking of softness, next we're going to bring in some curtains. Intentionally outdoor, waterproof, rainproof sheer curtains that are gonna be breezy and flowy and beautiful, but also gonna help give us a little bit of shelter from the rain. And I'm picking a sheer white curtain because I really don't want them to draw a lot of focus. I just want them to kind of quietly frame the view, right? Like we're adding a picture frame to this beautiful cityscape that we have. And a sheer is gonna fill the brief of giving us privacy without necessarily blocking the view. So we're not gonna feel like our entire lives are on display for all to see, but we're not gonna be completely closed in into a room that might as well just have walls. Okay, it's time for the rain barrel. The rain barrel is maybe my favorite part of this patio, not only because it's deeply practical, but because it was really challenging. So I found this teardrop Tuscan style rain barrel. And I think it's so pretty. It has a planter on top, which a lot of rain barrels do to help kind of shield the gutter that has to go into the barrel in order for them to function. But I also love the shape of this. Again, it's neither straight nor round. It's got a really nuanced shape, bringing in softness, echoing the coffee table, and just kind of giving a little bit more movement and a little bit more life to this patio. And the thing that is challenging about rain barrels is that they come with gutters. Inherently, they have to. So we do have a gutter system. The balcony above us, which is our roof, basically, there's a gutter right on it. So I think I can just reroute that gutter to come straight down into the rain barrel. Now, the problem with a gutter is that it's ugly and we're not going for ugly. So I have a plan. First, I'm going to wrap the entire gutter, the visible gutter, in rope. I think that this is such a fun way to mask the gutter. Someone's going to come in here and tell me that it's like not practical because I didn't research. The one thing I did research, if you want to put a rain barrel on your balcony, you just need to make sure that your balcony has a weight rating that can support the amount of water weight that a rain barrel will be. Some do, some don't. So don't just take this at face value. Like, do your research. Weight of water is real. But wrapping the gutter in rope, I think, is a great way to make it blend into this design because it's kind of echoing the frame of the trellis that we're going to put plants on. And then we're going to take it a step further and we're going to add a vining plant to it. This could be either a pothos at the top that comes down or like ivy in the planter that vines up. I just think that covering it in a natural element like rope, which is going to tie into the wicker and the wood trellis, and then covering it in some vining plants is going to add greenery up both sides and is going to tie the whole thing together. I'm so proud of this rain barrel plan, and I hope you are too. And now it's time to bring in plants. I'm going to bring in so many plants on the railing itself. This is part of how we're going to get a little bit more privacy without interrupting the view. This is part of why I didn't want to go with a sun fabric on the railing because I want these plants to be able to get light. And then we're going to take it just a step further by layering in some additional potted plants. And the key here design-wise, I mean, listen, it's a plant, you can't go wrong, but the key here design-wise is to pick varying sizes, heights, textures, colors of plants that kind of all make sense together. I mean, I think all plants make sense together, but I think that a variance in texture is what's going to help you feel like you're in this kind of oasis, because there are going to be a lot of places for your eye to rest. If you have, say, 6 plants that all have similarly shaped leaves or similar colorings, then eventually it's going to get tiring to the eye. It's going to be a little overwhelming. But if you bring in some variation in that, then every plant gets to be like its own resting point for your eyes at some point because it's interesting to look at. Now it's time for another DIY. I wanted to bring in just a little bit more pattern and play. And I love the idea of vintage black and white tile cafe tables, but I didn't want a cafe table out here. So I'm going to DIY a black and white tile mosaic table topper for this coffee table. And I could not be more excited about that because I think it's such a great way to be able to bring something kind of standard and off the rack and give it a lot of personality and make it really yours. So I think that I would just get like a wood round from the hardware store, add some water resistance to it by finishing it off, and then mosaic tile on top of it. And then I would use something like museum putty to just adhere it to the glass top. Yeah, and I think that would work completely well. Or like earthquake putty. Are those the same thing? Probably. I think that would work great. I can't confirm because I haven't actually done it, but I have a really good feeling that it would go smoothly. Now we're going to start to bring in some accents. I'm going to start with these pillows. These ones are from Anthropologie, just bringing in like the right pop of color. These ones are like a warm orange gold kind of color palette that I think is so pretty in contrast to all of the green and pink that we have going on here. And I think it's kind of just enough pattern to keep it really interesting and colorful without starting to lean too heavy into maximalism. I also love that the bigger one is a floral print, which is obviously, you know, tying into all of the florals that we've brought in. And the smaller one is a really tiny checkerboard, which feels like it balances the big checkerboard of the rug, and those two kind of speak to each other. Then we're going to bring in some mood lighting, some accent lighting, something to make the space not only cozy at night, but also usable at night so that it's not too dark. Obviously, string lights in the flowers is like a non-negotiable. So we're going to add some string lights along that railing. Then I'm going to bring in just a couple of lanterns that use battery operated candles and a globe lamp. Can't really see it, but it's hiding in the bottom left-hand corner. You'll see it once we do the night view. That's going to cast some ambient light that gives visibility right as you're walking in because it's right next to the door. That way you're not tripping over ledges or anything. And then because I want this to be a year-round balcony, we need some kind of heat element out there because it is cold here more often than not. So I'm going to bring in an electric heat lamp specifically that is designed for enclosed spaces. Obviously, if you're going to do this, you need to do your research about which heater is right for your space, fire hazards, power usage, etc. Like you have to do your research, but I don't have to because this isn't real. So I picked this really pretty one that not only is going to provide heat, but also is going to provide a nice, warm, ambient glow to this space. And then the last step, which honestly, if I were doing this for real, should have been the first step, because at this point, there is so much built into this balcony that I would not be able physically to do this. Let's all pretend that this wasn't the first step, but I'm going to take the screening of the bottom and actually take it all the way up. I'm going to fully screen in this balcony because I want my little cat to be able to be out here with me. And the only way to do that and keep him safe is to have it completely screened in. It's also going to help with things like bugs. And it's also going to help with rain. So now when it rains, we're going to have 2 layers of protection, the screen and the curtains. And listen, it's not going to be perfect. That is not a like watertight solution. It's still probably going to get damp, but it's going to take a much heavier rain than it takes right now. Right now, it just kind of sprinkles and you're like, well, I'm wet. And so it's going to give just a little bit of shielding. That plus the plants that we're bringing in, etc., are going to kind of help protect the balcony. And then my little cat can hang out there with me and we'll be so happy together. Not me being like, this is a human space where cats are allowed and then exclusively talking about how happy he is. Also, please note that I have painstakingly labored over finding him the perfect cat furniture. And in true form, this mother is sleeping on the couch, lounging on my seat. Where will I sit? That's what I want to know. It's fine. He can stay. This is it. This is the final design plan. I, not to brag, think I nailed it. I want to live on this balcony now. Like, goals completely accomplished. Actually, let's go back and review our goals. What were they? Let's see how I did. I should have done this before filming the video. Number 1, does it feel like a hug? I frankly certainly think so. Let's talk about the things that make it feel like a hug. I think that being enveloped by the plants, but also the framing of the curtains gives you this sense of being protected. And the window screen is a huge thing that like you are shielded from the elements. This is an outdoor space, but you are safe. And that is what I think a room feeling like a hug really means. I wanted to be able to leave the door open 100% of the time. I think I successfully can. I think that the window screens protect against 99.9% of bugs. Science, factually proven. And so being able to leave that door open, like we don't even have window screens on our windows and we leave the windows open all the time here. And we get flies occasionally and then eventually they find their way out again or they die or whatever. I don't know what happens. I think that I have successfully made that balcony easier to leave open all day than just our normal windows that are meant to be left open. Lots of plants in color. Check and check. A place to take care of our plants. DIY potting bench. Check. And then is it cat friendly? Obviously, yes. Yeah, I truly think I nailed it. It is a year-round 24-hour-a-day space. I really could not ask for more. Also, oh, the storage benches. Yeah, they're not obviously in this mock-up, but I picked these storage boxes and then I would get this custom cushion made for them and tuck that into the boxes. And then if we had guests, just pull them out from behind the couch and put them on the other side of the coffee table. Open up the workbench and use that to serve drinks or food or whatever we need. And then the kitchen's right on the inside. As we're hosting, we can flow in and out. Like, I think that would work great. And listen, obviously this balcony is a dream come true, but it will really sing at night. And so I couldn't not give us a night scene. Look at this dreamy little guy. You can see our twinkle lights are twinkling. The moon is in the sky. The lanterns are glowing. Our little globe light that you couldn't see before, now he's doing his best, shining, thriving, lighting your way as you step over the threshold. Like, this is such a dream. This makes me want to live somewhere. This makes me want to have a home. The last thing that really makes a space, that really brings it all together, is when you start living in it. It's when you start creating your own little routines and rituals that fill the space and make it feel like home. And that's something that I think you can and should do first. Like, before you put any time or money or energy into the design of your home, find your routines, find your rituals, find the things that make it a home. I have an entire video about this that if you haven't already checked out, I definitely think it's worth a watch if you're in the process of trying to make a house a home. I'll drop the link on screen. So if you're interested, just click through and I'll meet you there.